Distinguished guests, colleagues, and fellow researchers, it is truly a profound and immense honor to stand before you today at the very first International Conference on Leadership in AI, ICONS2026, which is proudly hosted under the esteemed ICONS umbrella. This conference is not just a regular gathering, it's a significant milestone in the field of artificial intelligence. It's like a grand stage where the brightest minds from across the globe come together. Here, we have the opportunity to share our unique ideas, engage in in-depth discussions about the numerous challenges we face, and explore the uncharted new frontiers in this rapidly evolving domain of artificial intelligence. My name is Gabriel Silva-Atencio, and I am absolutely thrilled and pleased to present my in-depth research titled Metaverse Adoption in Central American SMEs, Strategic Pathways to Industry 5.0 Alignment. This study is not just another run-of-the-mill academic exercise. It's a fascinating journey into the intersection of immersive technologies and the emerging Industry 5.0 paradigm. As we look around our world today, we can clearly see that the digital revolution is in full swing. Central America, with its one-of-a-kind socio-economic landscape, is at a crucial crossroads. In Central America, the economic and social fabric is quite distinct. The region has a rich and diverse cultural heritage that dates back centuries. It's a place where ancient traditions blend with modern aspirations, but at the same time, it faces various challenges. For instance, there are limited resources. Many areas in Central America struggle with a lack of basic necessities like clean water and reliable energy sources. Infrastructure gaps are also a major issue. Poor road networks, unreliable internet connectivity, and limited access to advanced transportation systems hinder the region's development, and there is a pressing need for sustainable development. With the threat of climate change looming large, Central America needs to find ways to grow its economy while protecting its environment. In this context, the rapid evolution of digital twins, virtual reality, and decentralized platforms is both an opportunity and a challenge. Let's take digital twins for example. Digital twins can revolutionize manufacturing processes by creating virtual replicas of physical assets. Imagine a factory in Central America where a digital twin of a complex machine is created. This virtual replica allows for better monitoring. Engineers can track every aspect of the machine's performance in real time, detecting any potential issues before they turn into major problems. It also enables prediction. By analyzing data from the digital twin, manufacturers can predict when a part might fail and schedule maintenance in advance, and it offers optimization. They can test different scenarios on the digital twin to find the most efficient way to operate the machine. Virtual reality can enhance training and customer experiences. In a training setting, workers in Central American SMEs can use VR to simulate dangerous or complex tasks. They can practice handling hazardous materials or operating heavy machinery in a safe virtual environment. For customers, VR can provide immersive shopping experiences. They can virtually try on clothes or test out products before making a purchase. Decentralized platforms can offer more secure and efficient ways of doing business. In Central America, where trust in traditional financial institutions might be low, decentralized platforms can provide a more transparent and reliable alternative. For example, blockchain-based platforms can be used for supply chain management. Every step of the supply chain can be recorded on the blockchain, ensuring that products are authentic and traceable. It has become absolutely imperative for us to understand how small and medium-sized enterprises in these developing regions navigate these complexities. These SMEs are the backbone of the Central American economy. They are like the small cogs in a big machine, providing employment to a large number of people. They drive innovation by coming up with new ideas and solutions tailored to the local context, and they contribute significantly to the local GDP. However, they often lack the resources and expertise to fully embrace these new technologies. Many SMEs in Central America struggle to afford the high-tech equipment needed for digital twins or VR. They also face a shortage of skilled workers who can operate and manage these technologies. My presentation will not only outline how these firms move beyond mere technology acquisition, but also how they find strategic alignment with human-centric and sustainable goals. This is crucial because Industry 5.0 is all about putting humans at the center of the industrial process. It's about creating a balance between technology and human well-being. In Central America, this means that SMEs need to ensure that the adoption of metaverse technologies benefits their workers. For example, VR training should not only improve productivity but also enhance the skills and safety of the workers. And the use of digital twins should lead to more sustainable manufacturing processes that minimize the environmental impact. We will explore in detail the empirical evidence gathered from the field. This evidence is based on real-world observations, surveys, and case studies from SMEs in Central America. It provides valuable insights into the actual challenges and opportunities these firms face when adopting metaverse technologies. For example, through surveys, we found that many SMEs are concerned about the cost of implementing these technologies. They are also worried about the lack of technical support. Case studies have shown that some SMEs have successfully overcome these challenges by forming partnerships with local universities or technology providers. We will also look at the theoretical frameworks that guide our understanding. These frameworks, such as the TOE framework and the strategic alignment model, help us analyze the factors influencing technology adoption in different contexts. The TOE framework, for instance, considers the technological, organizational, and environmental factors that affect a firm's decision to adopt new technologies. In the Central American context, the technological factor might include the availability of reliable internet and the compatibility of the metaverse technologies with existing systems. The organizational factor could involve the management's attitude towards innovation and the firm's internal structure. And the environmental factor might be the regulatory environment and the competitive landscape. Finally, we will discuss the practical implications for leaders and policymakers alike. Leaders and SMEs need to make informed decisions about technology adoption. They need to assess the potential benefits and risks of adopting metaverse technologies. For example, they need to consider whether the investment in VR will lead to increased customer satisfaction and sales. Policymakers need to create an enabling environment that supports the growth of these firms. This includes providing access to financing. Many SMEs in Central America struggle to get loans from traditional banks. Policymakers can set up special funds or incentives to encourage banks to lend to these firms. They also need to improve infrastructure, such as building better roads and expanding internet coverage. And they should promote education and training in emerging technologies. By offering courses in digital twins, VR, and blockchain, they can help create a skilled workforce in Central America. So without further ado, let us embark on this exciting journey of discovery and begin our exploration of metaverse adoption in Central American SMEs. To understand the impetus of this research, we must first examine the critical research gap in current literature. We are currently witnessing a global shift from Industry 4.0, which prioritized technology-centric automation and efficiency, toward Industry 5.0, which emphasizes a human-centric, sustainable, and resilient approach. In this transition, the metaverse encompassing VR, AR, IoT, and blockchain serves as a key enabling technology for industrial innovation. However, a core problem exists: the literature remains fragmented. Metaverse research often focuses on platform design and marketing hype, lacking empirical evidence on long-term strategic outcomes. Conversely, Industry 5.0 research remains largely theoretical and policy-focused, seldom linked to specific technology adoption at the firm level. This gap is most pronounced in developing regions like Central America. There is virtually no research on how SMEs in these areas strategically adopt metaverse technologies to advance Industry 5.0 goals. Furthermore, existing adoption models like the TOE framework or the strategic alignment model are rarely contextualized for resource-constrained environments where bandwidth, cost, and talent scarcity present significant barriers. This study aims to fill that void by providing context-sensitive empirical evidence from the periphery of the global digital economy. The central research question guiding this investigation is, how do Central American SMEs strategically adopt metaverse technologies, and how does this adoption align with Industry 5.0 principles, given their unique organizational and environmental constraints? To answer this, I utilized three primary theoretical lenses. First, the technology organization environment, or TOE framework, allows us to analyze the technological context, internal capabilities, and external environmental pressures that drive or inhibit adoption. Second, the strategic alignment model, or SAM, helps examine the fit between a firm's business strategy and its newly implemented technology infrastructure. Finally, I applied the dynamic capabilities view. This lens is essential for understanding how firms in volatile or emerging markets reconfigure their internal and external resources to gain a competitive advantage in a rapidly shifting technological landscape. By combining these three perspectives, we can move beyond a surface-level analysis of technology use and instead uncover the underlying strategic pathways and organizational transformations that occur during the adoption process. Methodologically, this study adopts an interpretive constructivist approach, utilizing a qualitative multiple case study design. The selection of cases was theoretical rather than statistical, focusing on two Central American SMEs that have moved metaverse technologies beyond the pilot stage. The first case is Waresoft SA de CV from El Salvador, a technology provider with roughly 50 employees acting on the supply side by creating virtual models. The second is Cupulesca RL from Costa Rica, a large utility cooperative with 200 employees acting on the demand side, exploring training and user engagement. Data was collected between January and June 2023 from three primary sources: 11 semi-structured interviews with strategic decision-makers and project leads, a review of 103 internal documents including project plans and technical specifications, and tertiary data such as annual reports and training videos. The analysis followed a hybrid thematic approach using both deductive codes from our theoretical frameworks and inductive codes emerging from the data, all managed within NVivo 14 to ensure a rigorous cross-case synthesis. The most significant finding of this study is the emergence of two radically different strategic pathways, shaped by each firm's position in the value chain and their specific environmental constraints. On one hand, we identified transformational alignment at Waresoft. Driven by post-pandemic market opportunities for remote validation, Waresoft utilized a mechanism of client-funded proof-of-concept cascades. This led to a profound strategic shift, evolving the firm from a regional software implementer into a digital transformation catalyst with significant financial returns. On the other hand, Computational followed a path of constrained exploration. Their driver was risk-mitigated experimentation within strict regulatory limits. They utilized a phase-gated testing mechanism, but were hindered by regulatory approvals, legacy SCADA systems, and a risk-averse culture. While they successfully launched a virtual showroom and VR safety training, the measurable financial impact remains elusive. These two paths illustrate that metaverse adoption is not a monolithic process but a highly contextual journey influenced by a firm's appetite for risk and its role in the ecosystem. Let us take a closer look at Waresoft's proof-of-concept cascade. Their mechanism for success was rooted in leveraging accessible game engine technologies, specifically Unity 3D, for rapid prototyping. Instead of investing heavily upfront, they allowed clients to fund pilots, which effectively de-risked their industrial projects across manufacturing, logistics, and agriculture. They created a dedicated immersive solutions team with fluid resource allocation, allowing them to remain agile. Over 18 months, they developed 5 increasingly complex virtual models. Each successful pilot acted as a catalyst, generating referrals and securing new client funding for the next stage. The results were impressive. By the fourth quarter of 2022, Metaverse services contributed 15% of total revenue, boasting gross margins of 27%, which is significantly higher than their traditional consulting margin of 19%. More importantly, the firm's identity evolved. They no longer see themselves as mere software installers, but as essential partners in their clients' digital transformation journeys, demonstrating how metaverse adoption can fundamentally redefine a company's value proposition and market position through iterative, client-led growth. In contrast, Computational's journey represents phase-gated exploration in a highly risk-averse environment. They faced quantified constraints that are typical for established utility firms. Regulators required strict approval for customer-facing projects, and integrating new VR systems with legacy SCADA and billing infrastructure proved technically complex. Culturally, 68% of mid-level managers viewed this experimentation as risky, and a significant skills gap was identified. Only 2 out of 45 IT staff had a 3D development experience, leading to a 30% project delay. Furthermore, cybersecurity assessments identified 23 vulnerabilities, requiring an unplanned $25,000 investment. Consequently, Computational adopted a rigid 3-phase path, a $15,000 feasibility study, followed by a $45,000 prototype, and finally a restricted test rollout costing $120,000. While they achieved tangible outcomes like a virtual energy-saving showroom and VR safety training for technicians, the project has yet to produce measurable operational or financial impacts. This case highlights the high entry price and slow momentum that traditional regulated SMEs face when attempting to integrate immersive technologies. Despite these different paths, 3 common metafactors emerged that shaped adoption in both cases. First is leadership sense-making of technological uncertainty. In both firms, senior teams did not view the metaverse as a definitive, strategic answer, but rather as experimental territory. They embraced uncertainty and used a probe-and-learn approach, rather than following a rigid roadmap. Second is the emergence of boundary-spanning translation champions. At Waresoft, this was the CTO. At Computational, the innovation manager. These individuals were crucial because they acted as translators, converting complex technological possibilities into clear business value propositions using language that resonated with their specific organizational context. Finally, we observed context-sensitive temporal scaling. Both firms adapted their project timelines to their environment, but in opposite directions. Waresoft moved rapidly in 3 to 6 month cycles driven by client demand, while Computational moved slowly in 12 to 18-month spans dictated by budgets and regulation. This finding is particularly important as it challenges the universal applicability of agile methods, suggesting that the pace of innovation must be synchronized with the firm's institutional reality. Our fifth result concerns Industry 5.0 alignment, which we found to be a spectrum rather than a binary state. At Waresoft, we saw complicit, emergent alignment. Human-centric and sustainable outcomes were not the primary goal, but emerged as byproducts of solving client problems. For instance, their virtual models reduced the need for physical travel, enhancing sustainability, and enabled safer, faster decision-making for workers. However, these benefits were only recognized post hoc. Conversely, Computational demonstrated explicit, aspirational alignment. Their project documentation was framed from the beginning around Industry 5.0 goals, such as using the virtual showroom for environmental education and VR training for human-centered skill development. Yet, Despite this explicit framing, the actual measurable impact was minimal. This suggests that Industry 5.0 alignment is often driven by either value creation in tech providers or legitimacy seeking in regulated firms. True alignment depends on a firm's position in the value chain and its combinative capabilities, the ability to merge new tech with existing social and environmental goals effectively. A critical contribution of this study is the identification of the global-local technology adoption disjuncture. SMEs in Central America face structural asymmetries that make global adoption models difficult to apply directly. We quantified these resource constraints. Regional bandwidth averages 25 megabits, far below the 100 megabits recommended for immersive applications. Hardware costs are inflated by import tariffs and logistics, adding 45% to US retail prices. Furthermore, the talent pool is extremely shallow, with an estimated 150 XR developers in the entire region. These constraints necessitate what we call frugal innovation strategies. Both firms had to creatively reassemble global technological components to fit local realities. This was not poor implementation, but rather contextually intelligent adaptation. For example, Waresoft used standard game engines but optimized them specifically for low-bandwidth environments, while Computational intentionally slowed their rollout to allow for internal talent cultivation. We argue that adoption models must account for these structural asymmetries, recognizing that frugal innovation is a rational and necessary response, not a deficiency in the firm's strategy. In discussion, our findings challenge the common techno-optimistic narrative of the metaverse. Strategic value does not come from technology acquisition alone, but from the orchestration of metaverse capabilities with existing organizational assets. Theoretically, this confirms the dynamic capabilities view. Competitive advantage, as seen in Waresoft, came from resource orchestration rather than resource abundance. We also extend the TOE framework by insisting that global-local disjunctures, infrastructure, talent, and cost asymmetries must be included as core variables in future studies. For practitioners, the implication is clear. SMEs must match their adoption strategy to their position. Technology providers should pursue client-funded cascades, while risk-averse firms should use phase-gated, capability-building paths. For policymakers, we suggest moving away from copying digital nation models from the global north. Instead, focus on the fundamentals. Specialized education, infrastructure investment, and the creation of regulatory sandboxes that allow firms like Computational to experiment more freely. While this study is limited to 2 cases, it provides a foundational framework for understanding socio-technical realism in the periphery. In conclusion, this study provides the first empirically grounded, comparative analysis of metaverse adoption in Central American SMEs. We have shown that adoption pathways are not uniform. They are shaped by value chain position, internal capabilities, and significant environmental constraints. We have seen that the metaverse is not a deterministic technology. Instead, its strategic significance emerges from the messy, creative, and often frugal interplay between global technological possibilities and local institutional realities. Moving forward, I propose longitudinal studies to track whether constrained exploration can eventually evolve into transformational alignment. We also need to apply this framework to other sectors like healthcare and agriculture across various developing regions. By developing and testing interventions such as regulatory sandboxes and specialized talent programs, we can accelerate capability building and ensure that the benefits of Industry 5.0 are accessible to all, regardless of their geographic location. Thank you for your time and attention today. I look forward to your questions.